We are live and all set to go.
Thanks, Jim. Good evening. My name is Fred Litchfield and I'm the town engineer here in Northborough. And this open meeting of the Earthwork Board is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of June 16th, 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. All members of the Earthwork Board are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Earthwork Board to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the planning board of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. The chair will now call on each board member and staff member to confirm their attendance.
Okay, first on the list, Tom Beals,
Here.
Ron Doucette,
Here.
Chris DeCedis,
Here.
Tony Pini,
Here.
Janet Sandstrom, here. Okay, let's review the minutes of January 31st. Do we all have a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Okay, how do they look?
Good.
Okay, anybody have any questions or addition or subtractions they want to do?
No,
Okay, will somebody make a motion?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the December 31st meeting. Is that correct? I don't
Yes,
have it.
yep.
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes,
Jim, how do you, Tom, how do you vote?
yes,
Ron Doucette, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tony, how do you vote?
Yes.
Janet votes yes also. So the minutes of January 31st have been reviewed and accepted. Okay, our first hearing, oh, do we have our applicants yet in, Fred?
I believe that
Yep, I see Mitch. I'll move him over and I'll see if Bethany, there is a phone number.
yeah, I don't know that phone number.
Mitch Melansky is here.
Hello, Mitch.
Hey, how you doing, Fred?
Good. Do you know if Bethany's phone number ends in 051?
I can check.
Or if the person who has a phone number ending in 051 is the applicant, Bethany, would you please raise your hand so that we can bring you in? I guess it is not.
The two numbers I have for them, so I have Elaine Bartolini's number up, it ends in 7129, and then Bethany.
So is Elaine one of the other applicants? She's in there as well. Should
I
she
believe
be over?
Elaine is her mother or mother-in-law.
Correct, yep, Elaine is Bethany's mother, and then
Yes.
I'm looking at Bethany's ends in 6872.
Actually, I spoke to Bethany earlier today and she said her mother may be attending on her behalf because she had a newborn.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah,
would you like
Elaine
me to
texted,
promote her?
said she's in too.
Please, Jim, if you would promote Elaine, that would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Elaine, if you could just unmute your microphone for a minute so we can make sure that we can hear you.
Mute. Okay. I'm here.
Thank you. Thank you.
How do I mute it back up so you don't hear me?
Down on the bottom left, there should be a picture of a microphone. And then if you click on that, it should put a line through it.
I got it. Okay.
Thank you. All right, Mitch, it's all yours. But you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
That's good.
Okay, that's better.
Looks like he froze up.
Okay. No luck, Mitch? Elaine, would you like to just walk us through what your daughter wants to do? Are you comfortable with that?
Hi. Well, honestly, I'm just here because she just had a baby. But I think that all I know is that this is the apparently the Conservation Committee approved a plan for
Yes.
her to do some work. So all of that's been done. And apparently there's a requirement to bring in some dirt, some loam or whatever. And because it was over a certain amount, we had to apply for this earth moving permit. But that's honestly all I know. It's just in conjunction with the conservation requirement, and it's following their guidelines. But I'm sorry, I'm not a, I'm just here because I told Bethany I would just be there just in case.
Okay.
What else? You have all the information, correct?
We do, and board members all received a copy of the application, so they have it. We generally like to have your engineer, or your representative just make a quick overview of where it is and share their screen with the plan of what they want to do. It is all approved by the Conservation Commission. The order of conditions has been, I believe, recorded, and you're ready to
Right.
go. It's just a matter of this board issuing a secondary permit beyond what the Conservation Commission allowed.
Correct. But again, I have no idea what's required. I know Mitch knows what he's doing. I'm assuming that, you know, it's correct by your standards.
Yes.
Whatever. I apologize. It's just loam that's going to be placed over the cleared acre and a half that she's going to do in the back for the horses.
Yeah.
At this point is a one horse, but and also I think she's going to put a sand ring in as part of that, and some rock for a wet paddock. So in the rainy season, the horse doesn't dig up the grass. He just stays on the wet paddock, which is just rock. But honestly, and I think there's a berm that's going in the back as well. That's going to be, it has to be put in.
Yeah.
So there's some material that has to be brought in for that as well.
Okay.
But honestly, that's all I know.
No, that's pretty good, actually.
It's
Nice
pretty
job.
good.
Thank you.
You all got copies of the application and the plan. Unfortunately, I didn't I didn't scan it, so I don't have it to share with you. But I could entertain questions as long as Mitch is still frozen. And then it is approved by the Conservation Commission, as you just heard. I don't believe there's any real issues. They did incorporate some drainage to minimize the impact of the water leaving the site. And that has been approved by Conservation as well. It's really because they exceeded the 100 cubic yards that requires a permit from your board is why they're here tonight. So I'll open it up to all of you and see if you have any questions about the plan or the application that perhaps I can answer. And maybe before we finish, Mitch will be able to be unfrozen.
Fred, I got a crazy question.
What's that?
You know me. Because you're bringing in loom from outside, we don't know where it's coming from. We don't know, do they test loom as it comes in? So the homeowner knows it hasn't got asbestos or oil or any chemicals that would, in this case, hurt a horse or go into the vegetation of land around. Is there anything such as that?
I know, as far as I know, typically the soil is not tested before it's brought onto the site. It's not taken from another construction job. It's topsoil that they would be buying from a sand and gravel company where it's supposed to be clean as it enters the site.
It may not be, it may not all be loam, Ron. Possibly some of it may be fill.
Well, actually, no, in this case, if you look at the application, they did indicate there was some loam. There was a little bit of sand for some drainage and the area that Elaine just spoke about, and a little bit of stone. It's pretty much it's a 6-inch layer of loam that's going to go around the 1.5 acre site. So it's not, they're not doing any real grading as far as the filling and trying to balance the site or anything. They're just trying to make a pasture for the horse. That's my understanding.
That's correct. There's no fill going in as far as I know.
Right. You're not really changing the contours of the grades at all. It's really a matter of just making a pasture where it's a bit wooded now and then having some drainage along the area where the land slopes so that it could regulate the amount of flow coming off the site before it gets to a neighbor's property.
So Fred, I think it's worth, at least saying when this came to Conservation and after a review, then Cornerstone Engineering did the drainage work and a layout and a plan for that. So it's been looked at pretty closely. I think it's pretty straightforward for a pasture.
Yes, I would agree.
There's Mitch.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know why I got booted, but I'm back. If you guys got any questions, I hear you guys are already talking.
It just froze up on us on our end. We couldn't. You were frozen. The only question was about the topsoil that's going to come onto the site. Is it natural? Is it clean? Or should there be a concern about it needing to be tested? Is it coming from an area that's not a known source?
It's gonna come from the Kimball Sand Company. That's where the contractor said he was gonna receive it from.
Said that in the application.
I'm comfortable with that. They supply topsoil to a lot of projects around town, and it's stuff that they process themselves, so it's not excavated gas tanks.
Yep, got it. Thank you.
Any more questions from the board? In that case, we all set, Fred?
We are. I can tell you that based on the application, I did a bond calculation, and I recommended that the bond be posted in the amount of $7,000, and that includes renting a bulldozer in the event that they were to walk away to move the 1,200 yards that was indicated in the application. It also includes $3,400 for hydro seeding in the event that they were unable to complete the project. And then the balance is the as-built drawings for a total of $7,000.
Do we have any hands raised in the audience?
There is
Yes.
several
if you-
coming up now, yes.
Do you want me to take them in order?
Yes, please.
All right, so Robert, I'm going to allow you to talk. If you could unmute your microphone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, great. I know this is, I'm going to ask the question. I really don't know the whole process. This is the first time we've all had to actually work with this. We were involved during the Conservation Commission's hearings, but so the neighborhood, and I know the Conservation Commission and the work that was done by the engineering firm addressed some of the concerns, but we really still have some concerns about the amount of trees that are being taken out, and we're wondering if some trees can either be left along the fence line or along the perimeter areas, or even more in the pastures. I know they're looking at, according to the plans, only leaving, from what I saw, 4 to 6 trees in an 1.5 acre area. And I understand some of that's a riding ring and there can't be any trees in there. I get that, but the neighborhood is we want to be good neighbors, but on the same token, we're trying to protect our investments as well. And the water coming from the hill has been mitigated a bit, but on the same token, our backyards are now like wide open, and we'd like some kind of something that we just don't have this thing like jumping in our face. And at the same time, maybe absorbing some more water as well. I know that, what the engineering firm has proposed is, supposedly going to take care of this, but on the same token, we all bought these properties, years ago with certain thoughts, and now that's all changing. And we still have, and I speak for a number of the residents that may or may not be here tonight, but we still have some serious concerns, and we're wondering if those can be addressed, particularly with leaving some vegetation and foliage, so that there's some type of barrier. That's all I have.
Mitch, do you want to address that?
Well, I don't think we have there's no regulations that limit people from cutting trees on their property, and everybody has the right to use their property as they feel they can. And we as an earth removal board don't have any regulations that falls under trees. And the same with conservation. There is a restriction in conservation for trees in the wetlands and at the edges of the wetlands. And that was looked at when the tree cutting was proposed. Again, I think it's everybody's right to do as they want with their property within the guidelines of the town. And if they choose to clear the trees, that's their choice.
Any other comments?
I was just wondering if this gentleman, the neighbor, approached the applicant and asked maybe they could save some of the trees.
Well, I think the neighbor hung up. But
So I removed their permission to talk, but I will allow them again. Robert, if you want to unmute the microphone.
All right, yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I understand. And one of the reasons, like I haven't, and I don't think any of the neighbors have actually approached the family that's doing this. But one of the reasons I was bringing it up is because I know that Mitch is, involved with them, and maybe that he could, pass that on. I know that it's probably not. I know it's not in your purview, but on the same token, none of us have ever done this before either, and we're not really sure of the whole process either. We're going through this for the first time as well. So, don't know who to speak to, when to speak to, how this is actually playing out. We've kind of been going through this as it happens. So I guess we're just asking for some form of consideration. I know it's private property. We fully understand that. We're just asking for some type of consideration. That's all.
Can I speak for a sec?
Sure.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Elaine.
Hi, I appreciate what you're saying. We're trying to keep the amount of area that we clear minimal as possible, but there's certain state regulations as to how much land you have to have per horse, per animal. And we've done our best to keep it as minimal as possible. And I'm sure if we can, keep some of the foliage around the edge, we'll do our best. But the reason we bought the property this was one of the main purposes, was to have, some pasture in the back for the horses. That's why we bought it. So we'll do our best. That's all I can promise. I can't tell you any more than that because I'm just the mother and I'm sort of filling in here, but I know Mitch and Bethany tried really hard to fit it in within a reasonable area. Okay.
Thank you, Elaine.
Okay.
Are there any other abutters?
Yes, hold on one moment. So next is going to be Rick. So Rick, you are, your mic's on, if you can unmute.
Hello. I just had a simple question. I didn't read the application, so I apologize for that. But what is the maximum number of horses that will be on the property?
I believe that, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I think that the maximum is 4. That would be the absolute maximum. Although right now there's only 1, so.
I'm just thinking of the accumulation of manure and that sort of thing, and the traffic in the area. That's what I asked.
Okay, well, first of all, this is our own horses. There wouldn't be any traffic from any other people coming, if that's what you mean by traffic. But as far as the manure, the town is very specific about how often and when you have to remove it. There's a definite schedule that will be set up for that. So that should not be in any way a noxious problem for anybody.
Okay.
Is this going to be just for private horses for yourself, and it's not going to be a boarding place?
Oh, no, just private horses. You can't have a boarding without a boarding license.
Right, okay.
This is just a private horses for a horse and probably a pony for the baby,
Mm-hmm.
So the public won't be coming in and riding the horses and
No,
things like that?
not at all. Not at
Oh,
all.
I see. All right. Well,
Oh, no,
thank
this
you
is
very
just for-
much.
Okay.
Do we have any other?
Yes, we do. So I believe, I can't see the name. I believe Cassidy is at Northborough address. So I'm going to allow them to talk. If you could just state your name and address for the record, please. Cassidy, you are on.
Oh, thank you very much. My name is Waltina Cassidy. I live at 87 Washburn Street in Northborough. And our property is the property that is right behind there, as well as Bob's. And one of our concerns is if the berm or the restoration that you folks are going to be doing for the area in the back where the berm is, if that doesn't work, is there any recall for that? Or if we all of a sudden start to get manure or loam, stuff like that in our backyard, is there any recall for that?
So in the order of conditions, which is the permit that the Conservation Commission gave us, that berm will need to be inspected by an engineer. So we're gonna likely have Cornerstone Engineering in Northborough inspect it and give their certification of approval for the Conservation Commission to review. And then the order of conditions also
Unfortunately, Mitch is frozen again, so I'll jump in here.
Okay.
The Conservation Commission issued an order of conditions, and the Earthwork Board will issue a permit to the applicant. And both of those require an as-built plan to be certified by a professional engineer, verifying that the work was done according to the plan and will work as designed. In terms of the manure going down running off the property, I believe that what Elaine was referring to was, I think that they need a permit from the health department to have a pasture of this nature, and there are regulations about removing the manure at certain intervals of time. I'm not actually familiar with it. I apologize, I'm not that well versed in those permits, but the health agent for the town of Northborough would be involved if there was a concern that they weren't meeting the regulation or the permit that's given to them in that regard.
Yes, part of our lack of due diligence on the last meeting at the conservation meeting has not boded well for us. Yes, I was just curious. And the other question that I had was boarding, but that has been answered. So, and is there going to be a sand ring there too as well?
I believe Mitch is still frozen, but I believe that there was one proposed on the plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Alrighty. And is there any chance that at some point in time that the people decide, well, we don't want to have outside horses, but after a certain amount of time, they may say 3 or 4 years, well, hey, why don't we add some more? Is there that issue? Or does it matter because they have enough acreage?
I believe
Can
that
I-
would be.
Want me
go
to
ahead,
answer
Elaine.
that?
Okay. I'm just only because I listen to my daughter all the time. The plan is only to have 4 horses at the
Okay.
very most. That's the most that's allowed without a boarding, permit and all that. And that would involve opening up a lot more area, and that is not at all in the plan.
Okay.
This is just her own personal horses for her own personal use.
Okay. Thank you so much for letting us know that though, because we weren't
Oh,
really filled
no-
in with a lot of the information.
No problem.
All right.
Any other questions? We're happy to answer them. This is, it's just going to be a little pasture in the back with, I know not little, but I know it, but it's bigger
Right.
than I want it to be. But, I think that it's just based on what the town requires and the state. That's why it's the size it is. But she's very cognizant of everybody's concerns, and, we'll do our best to minimize anything,
Mhm.
that's all I can
Well,
do.
Oh, and congratulate her on her new baby.
Thank
So-
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will. Thank you.
Alrighty, so I'm done.
Are there any more audience participants?
I believe there's 2 more. So, and excuse my pronunciation, I believe Serb. I'm going to unmute you, and if you could state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my last name is Herb, first name Christine, and I live on Mohawk Drive. I'm a butter. And I probably should have come to the conservation meeting in the fall, but I didn't. I think it's great to have horses. Horses make good neighbors. My concern was about the greater wetlands, which sounds like that's been addressed. And then I really just wanted to ask if
You all right?
town is aware,
Yeah, but I'm on video.
if the buyers and the town is aware that we have a very active coyote pack and deer herd in that area. And what will happen by building, it will drive them either into our yards further or somewhere else. But I just wondered if that's something that has been, if anybody's aware of that. I'm not opposed to anything. I'm just curious if others are aware.
I guess, is that for me again, that question, I guess?
So,
Well, we are aware of the deer population because I think there's 10 or 12 of them out every day in front of the house in the morning, apparently when they leave. We are also aware there's a coyote population, but my understanding, and I'm not a wildlife person at all, but my understanding is that the horses actually, they make them go away. But I don't know that answer. I don't know. But we are aware there are coyotes, like there are everywhere, but I don't know if that's going to create any sort of a. I wish I had another better answer, but I don't.
Well, I was really wondering more if the town was aware of it and more of a curiosity. It is a concern. I haven't lost any, I haven't had my dog attacked or any of my livestock attacked, but I just was wondering if you folks were aware of that. That's all. It's really more of a point of interest than, I have no qualms about the horse pasture and all. I think it's much better than a couple more houses. So. No comments. Okay. I guess no one's thought of that. Okay.
Thank you. I think you're.
any more, Jim?
Yes, and just a heads up to Janet, I did mute you if you want to unmute yourself. So I believe Richard had his hand up. I see it down now, but Richard, I don't know if you had any comment. If you want to raise your hand again. Okay, yep. And so Richard, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Richard Rankin, 77 Washburn Street. So I think what we're looking at here is 1,200 yards of loam, sand, or something similar that's going to be brought to the site. I'm assuming it has to come down the applicant's driveway to be distributed as opposed to any right-of-ways or anything like that. Is that fair?
That is correct. We're going to propose to go down the driveway.
Very good. And this loam is going to be placed, and I assume, is it going to be naturally populated with vegetation, or is it going to be seeded, or how is it going to act as a medium to hold back rainwater?
So it'll be stabilized with the seed mix that we proposed for the horses. So that'll be applied to the loam within 14 days of them placing it down to stabilize it as soon as possible. Honestly, it's in their best interest to stabilize it immediately and put the seed down as soon as they put down the loam.
Agreed. That's all I had. Actually, one more thing. So we're talking about 1,200 yards. That's approximately 100 trips, 10-wheeler. Does conservation or earthwork team monitor those trips at all, or is that up to the applicant?
I can answer that for you, Mr. Rankin. It's primarily up to the applicant. What they do is they propose a project with a certain plan, and then they are required to verify that it was built according to the plan with an as-built drawing. The permit will limit the area of disturbance. We'll stipulate how much material can be brought in as per the application. But if it's 1,300 versus 1,200, there's really not much way to monitor that. Perhaps Mitch can talk about how many truck trips that actually would be. I think it's about 20 or 30 yards a truck. So there may not be as many as you might have thought.
Yeah, I don't really have a number for you. That's something we'd have to get more from the contractor, I'd say. He knows a bit more about what vehicles he's going to be taking in and out from the site size wise.
Mitch, do you have an idea as to how long they plan to, when they plan to start, and how long the duration of the trips? Are we doing, is it going to just be a full bore for a couple of weeks and just bring everything in right away? Or will it be spread out over a few months time before it gets completed and then the stabilization can take place?
So it'll be spread out over probably a few months, because we're going to need to start with the infiltration basin. We need to build that berm on the lower side of the site. So there's going to be a soil import initially before all the trees come down. So it'll be broken up considerably. So we're going to start with the berm, and then once that's built, we're going to remove trees, and it's going to be up to the applicant what section they decide to build first. They may decide to build the sand ring, so there'll be sand imported and then applied to the riding ring, or they might import all the rest of the loam and do the loam. So they haven't really decided what order they're going to do that in particularly.
So my understanding is that a 10-wheeler will carry about 10 to 14 yards, average of 12. So that's about 100 trips. On Washburn Street are pretty sensitive to those trips because we've dealt with them over the last 6 months at Harrington Lane, pull on Washburn Street with other vehicles. So yeah, so I'm assuming it's about 100 trips, and the applicant may need to rebuild their driveway after those trips are done. All good here. Thank you.
All right, and then, and sorry, forgive me, Cassidy at Annisboro, your hand's raised again. I'm not sure if that was by mistake. Okay, yep. So Janet, if you want to make one last call for public comment, I believe I don't see any hands at this time.
Okay, since we have no more public abutters. Okay, our next, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, somebody want to make a motion to accept, make for a new permit for Bethany Sepp Coldbrook Farm Realty Trust.
I'll make a motion that we issue an earth removal permit for Bethany Sepp Coldbrook Farms Realty Trust, 190 Howard Street, with the
I'll second it.
bond amount that was calculated by Fred. I believe it was $7,000.
Yes. Okay. How do you vote, Tom?
Yes.
How do you vote, Chris?
Yes.
How do you vote, Ron?
Yes.
How do you vote, Tony?
Yes.
Janet votes yes also.
Nice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I
Thank
will
you.
have Melanie prepare the permit. It should be ready for you to stop by and sign whenever you get a chance. Just give us one whole day. Could come in anytime after Wednesday morning and sign, that would be appreciated. We'll have it on the counter for you.
Thank you
right.
so much.
And then
Thank you.
the bond will need to be posted and a W-9 submitted to the treasurer's office to, before the work can actually start, Mitch, okay?
Okay, yep,
Okay.
sounds good, good.
All right, thank you.
Yep, have a good one, everyone.
You too.
You too.
Okay, the next meeting will be April 4th. That seems awfully close.
It's a month.
Yeah, I know. Is there
Um,
any other business before the board, Fred?
I do not, I don't know, not sure I have an application for you yet for April 4th. The deadline for filing would be any day now, actually. Let's see, March 7th. It would probably be later this week. So if it would have to, an ad would have to be in the paper next week on Monday in order to make the hearing available for April 4th. So I have not heard yet, but if I do, I will let you all know. We do have a meeting already on the books. We have a recurring webinar set up for the first Monday of each month at 6 o'clock, at least until June, when hopefully Jim gets out of school. That might free things up depending on his schedule over the summer and into the fall. So stay tuned. I'll be in touch as soon as I know whether or not there's an application for you to hear at the April 4th meeting.
Okay, does anyone have anything that they want to bring before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, how do you vote, Tom?
Yes.
How do you vote, Tony?
Yes.
Ron, how do you vote?
Yes.
Chris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Janet votes yes also.